People have described Elon Musk as the new Steve Jobs.
People want to be more like you.
Really? Confident that the public does want this is Starfleet Academy. You know, like, yeah, like how do we make Star Trek real? You know, that'd be pretty amazing. I'd love that.
1983, he taught himself computer programming at the age of 12, sold the code for a basic-based video game called Blaster for approximately $500. In 1995, he started Zip2, a web software company later renamed PayPal in 2001, revolutionizing electric cars as CEO and product architect of Tesla Motors. Development and manufacturing of advanced rockets and spacecraft as founder of Space Exploration Technologies, SpaceX, and conceptualizing high-speed transportation known as Hyperloop.
Trying to build a company and have it succeed is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Designing the production system of a new product is, I think, at least an order of magnitude or 2 orders of magnitude harder than designing the initial prototype.
Yeah.
I sent an email to SpaceX just saying this, like, at this point, I think designing a rocket is trivial, just trivial. There's like tons of books you read them, you can understand equations, you can design a rocket. It's real easy. Yeah, if you say like 2-stage, 2% of your liftoff mass to orbit, just to design something like that, piece of cake. Now, making even one of those things and getting it to orbit is hard, but the designing of it is not hard. The making of even one is hard. The making of a production line that builds and launches many is extremely hard.
Elon Musk has built a great electric car, designed and built reusable rockets, an innovator in tunneling technology.
We need to push for radical breakthroughs. And if you don't push for radical breakthroughs, you're not going to get radical outcomes. And that does mean taking risks. It may seem at times that, shouldn't we focus all our efforts on one system and rather than divide them and have two competing systems. I think it's not good to have one provider. It's good to have competition where that competition is meaningful and somebody can actually lose. It's sort of quite exciting for the first several months of starting a company. Yeah. And then reality sets in, things don't go as well as planned, customers aren't signing up, the technology or the product isn't working as well as you thought, and then that can sometimes be compounded by a recession. It can be very, very painful for several years. Frankly, starting a company, I would advise people to have a high pain tolerance. People are like, well, why would I want an electric car? My gasoline car works fine. It was hard to get people to do a test drive. First, nobody knew who we were. Never heard of this company. And I'm like, yeah, we're named after Nikola Tesla. You know that guy? Nope. For sure, we were doing push in the beginning because people said there was no one telling us that they wanted an electric car. It was like lots of people coming up to me saying, hey, I really want an electric car. I heard that 0 times. If you asked the public what they wanted, they'd say a faster horse. 46 or 48. It's like a famous nationwide survey. Will you ever buy a TV? And it was like 96% of respondents said no. Almost everyone said they would not buy a TV, but they didn't know what they're talking about. Occasionally, companies that get created where there's not an extended period of extreme pain, but I'm not aware of very many of such instances. But I do think that new great entrepreneurs are born every day. And we'll continue to see amazing companies get built. Definitely advise people who are starting a company to expect a long period of quite high difficulty. As long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, if they stay focused on that, basically if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will. When trying different things, you've got to have some acceptance of failure. Failure must be an option. If failure is not an option, it's going to result in extremely conservative choices, and you may get something even worse than lack of innovation. Things may go backwards. The massive thing that can be done is to make sure your incentive structure is such that innovation is rewarded and lack of innovation is punished. There's got to be a carrot and a stick. That innovation per unit time, it's like innovation per year, if you want to say it, like, is what matters, not innovation absent time. Because if you wanted to make, say, 100% improvement in something, and that took 100 years or 1 year, that's radically different. It's like, what is your rate of innovation? That matters. And is the rate of innovation, is that accelerating or decelerating? And a weird thing happens when companies get big is that most companies or organizations, the bigger they get, they tend to get less innovative. There's going to be some amount of failure, but you want your net output, net useful output to be maximized. Failure is essentially irrelevant unless it is catastrophic. Open sourced our patents some years ago, so anyone can use our patents. So we really have not been tried to protect intellectual property in that sense. We've tried to actually smooth the path, because the overarching goal of Tesla is to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. And so if we created a patent portfolio that discouraged other companies from making electric cars, that would be inconsistent with our mission. So we open sourced all the patents in order to help anyone else who wants to make an electric car. About 5 million tons to Earth orbit of useful payload. So you're talking so essentially, unless you have a launch system that is somewhere in the megaton per year range to orbit, it's not relevant.
There's a lot of opportunity in general in electrification of transport. So electric aircraft, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. In genetics, although that's sort of a thorny area, but I think that's in terms of solving some of the more intransigent diseases. Genetics are really key to solving those. Something that I think people may be only beginning to look at is establishing some kind of brain-computer interface at the neuron level.
I think we just really need to drive the rate of innovation to be such that we would see big breakthroughs, big improvements in space technology in the years to come.
Elon's more of a hands-on engineer. Steve was a genius at design and picking people and marketing. You wouldn't walk into a room and confuse them with each other.
Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. I would like to die on Mars, just not on impact.
So what do you want to tell them?
We got to make Starfleet happen.
It's